What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. I hope you're all doing well. Thank you for joining me here on Thursday, the 18th of December. Boy, Christmas Day is just around the corner, and it feels like it's getting nearer and nearer and nearer. But welcome in, everybody. Hope you're all doing well. There is no way to kind of position today, unfortunately. It is literally a joke today. Now, again, and I was saying this in TikTok, I am very much I would say a bull when it comes to the crypto market. I always don't want to look on the side of optimism. I know some of you said, "Tubi, you've been bearish for about 2 weeks." But I think today probably shows the exact reason why I think right now being bearish is probably not a bad idea. Being sensible, having logic applying to what you're doing, because there is no logic in the market right now. It is a absolute manipulated dumpster fire that I think we all need to be very much aware of. So, we'll talk a little bit about why. We'll get into how we had some really bullish news actually, but then as over the course of the day, people are like, hold on a minute, this kind of isn't right. Like, this doesn't make any sense. So we'll talk a bit about that. We'll sort of try and get into a little bit as to what's happened, which I think is worthwhile. And then I want to talk about the Bank of Japan. I want to sort of get into everything that we could expect this morning. If you're in the UK, by the way, it's going to be about 2:45 to 4 a.m. So by the time we go to bed and then wake back up again, you're probably going to have an interest rate. So we could see, and I think this would be worthwhile, taking a look at the pre-markets and sort of very much seeing what's going to go on. But however you look at this, however you phrase it, whatever you want to look at in this market, today was an absolute textbook case of pure unadulterated market manipulation by people that just have a bit more money than us. So we have to play it a little bit differently. Our strategy should be slightly changed, and we should certainly be keeping a very close eye on what is happening in the macro side of things, which is why I have been breaking it down every single day to try and make sure that we are as well positioned, as well educated, and as well dialed into what's going on in this market. So if you're interested in all that kind of stuff, make sure you smash up the like button to a brand new all-time high. Don't forget, why is there a box there? Hold on a minute. I could see the box in the camera. It was annoying me. And if you haven't already hit the subscribe button, I highly recommend doing so. Likewise, if you're on TikTok as well, don't forget, give us a couple of taps. Would appreciate that as well. Welcome in, Val. Good to see you, man. Welcome, Stardog's in. What's going on? When the answers from Japan? Hey, hey. We have all the expectations anyway. So yeah, but don't forget, share the stream out, get bullish, all that kind of good stuff, and let's take a look. So here we go then. Let's get into it. TikTok, I'm going to show you the screen in just a minute. And you guys can get in. Get Superfan for 50% off the first month through Superfan and get extra votes to use in the live. There we go. That's pretty exciting, isn't it? So if you're on TikTok, you can get a discount on the Superfans. I was in and out in less than a minute for profit. Well, I mean, it's probably not a bad shout, Rob. So let's take a look at the daily here. So we got a pretty interesting chart. The fact that we have had a range today on BTC that has covered nearly 5.5% is absolutely insane. And actually, when you look at it in this chart, it tells you that the actual stuff that's going on is a joke. I mean, it is literally a joke. You would be very wise if you are trading leverage to trade very sensibly, to not over leverage. I think that is a really, really important point right now, that you do not want to be over leveraged in this market, because it will punish you very easily. And I think we're seeing that on a number of occasions. And I think, unfortunately, a lot of people are, bearing the brunt of over leverage. Now, eventually, and we've talked about this before, I believe anyway, excuse me, we've talked about this before, that at some point the market has to just give it up, and it will either, I know this sounds insane, but we'll either head down, or we're going to, skyrocket to brand new all-time highs, which we'll touch on hopefully over the course of certainly the next sort of couple of streams. But you can see here. Now, let's go into the 15-minute chart, because this is kind of insane. So this is kind of the other day where we got this big pump yesterday. Wednesday, yesterday. So we got this big pump in. Everyone's like, oh, here we go. Market's getting pretty bullish. And then we always came all the way back down. So you had loads of leverage getting flushed out to the upside, and then loads of leverage flushed down to the downside. Now, what we are seeing, though, if you take the average move from the bottom to the top, 4.7%, take the average then move from the top to where the bottom is, you're seeing about 5.1. So you're seeing kind of nearly 6% down for a 4% gain. And actually, the same could be said here. We actually went from average price of where that sits, by the way, into around 4.5% to the upside, which then means we should have gone around 6.5% down to the downside. The max 5.8%. It's pretty much lining up perfecto. So perfecto Patronus tells us that we are absolutely being manipulated in this market. Now, the obvious thing is to say, well, the market's manipulated. It's dead simple. Look at it. You can see it on the chart. You don't even need to tell you that it isn't. But what the facts here is why. And it's always important to understand why, isn't it? If you understand why, then it kind of feels a bit better. If you don't understand why, then it makes no sense. So you have to kind of understand a little bit as to why the market's been manipulated. What's the benefit of it? Well, when max fear is in the market, this is when people's decision makings become even more heightened. It's the flight or fight response that people always talk about. And that could be the same for when you are looking to leverage trade, when you're looking to spot trade. You're going to be way more susceptible to selling your bags. You're going to be way more susceptible to buying more when you have extreme fear. What's the extreme fear? Bank of Japan. Nervousness of the unwind of the carry trade. A moment that is proven in history that actually tells us that this is a factual event that could see us huge liquidations in the market and lots of people completely freak out. So we have to kind of just dial it back a little bit, though, and understand exactly what this was. So we had, and I don't know whether it feels better or not, by the way, but we came in at the bottom here. So Wednesday, 6 o'clock, we then started to grind up. From today, which I think is the early hours, which is here. So we came off this bottom support. I was talking about this yesterday. If we can break back above that 85,904, then actually we should be in a pretty good place. We had a full day of gains, probably out of the country that I think maybe we shouldn't have got, but hey, a full day of gains, breaking over. Look at this, look at the 20-day exponential moving average, the big yellow line, and look how well price respected this particular pattern. We got a bullish cross, albeit it's on a 15-minute chart, so you can't get super excited long-term, but still, bullish cross, and we got this nice upward momentum. We then got CPI data coming in. So if you haven't seen, by the way, CPI data came in literally as insane as you could probably think. 2.7 versus expectation of 3, consensus 3.1 is wild. I mean, genuinely, it is wild the fact that it came in as it did, because loads of people were not expecting that. So again, you can see kind of just where some of this sentiment is. You can see the fact that we are now starting to see the core inflation is actually coming in. What does it prove, by the way? It proves that tariffs, according to the CPI report, is not as bad as people think. Was Trump right all along? Well, maybe that's what some people are saying. But you can see here, look, US non-adjusted in the 12 months, 2.7 on all items is a pretty freaking crazy number, given the fact the expectation was 3%. This is bullish. Like, the markets were like, yes, let's go. Like, there is absolutely some optimism in the market. Inflation is coming down. Fed can cut rates. It's all going to get better. Things are way not as expensive. And, you know, everyone just needs to shut up and crack on with it. But what they didn't talk about was actually we are seeing an increase in shelter, which essentially is the housing market, which can be susceptible to potential recessionary fears. And I think what happened was you got this market that was like, yes, CPI data has come in. This is super good news. We can all just kind of chill out. Obviously, very well timed. And you could say, did Trump know that CPI was going to be what it was going to be? Maybe he did, maybe he didn't. I have no idea. But I think it's super interesting that he comes out, talks about the economy, talks about all these stimulus checks, talks about the fact that $1,765 are going to be sent to US troops of 1.465 million people. And then CPI is like, boom, yeah, it's brilliant. Like, oh my God, it does feel a little bit like someone's playing blackjack and their first card they laid is an ace. And everyone's like, oh, they got 21. Secretly, the card underneath is just a 9, though. That's the point. I think that's making sense. So what's important to reference here is that the CPI data was good on the surface, but there are equally some things underneath it. Now, there's a couple of technical notes. I'm not going to go through it too much, but the CPI based on price of food, clothing, shelter, fuels, transportation, doctors, and dentist services, blah, 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 blah. Price are collected each month for 75 urban areas across the country for about 6,000 housing units, approximately 22,000 retail establishments. Okay, cool. When you get into a little bit more of actually what's going on with the data, then this is where you start to see a little bit more of an uptick in a potential risk coming in some of the key areas that essentially are more susceptible to things like recession, shelter, particularly rentals, and ownership equivalents. Okay, this is kind of where we get on the core things, as you hear Trump talk about gasoline. Yes, it came down, baby. It came down. You're like, this is great news. Great news. Like, no one's paying any more for gasoline. No one's paying more. Look at this. Massive cuts in gasoline. Everyone's like, man, this is like super crazy bullish. Like, we're super excited about where we're going to get to. Like, no one's freaking out. So I don't want to go too much into it, but essentially that's kind of what happened then. And this is why we ended up with this like pump into CPI, even when people were a bit like, oh, CPI is fine. Like, this is kind of good. inflation's right. Trump was cool. Like, everything's fine. And then it's like, yep, fell off a cliff. Now, I'm not saying that everyone just woke up and went, oh, CPI is a bit of a lie, actually. This is an absolute categorically manipulated event. Like, definitely exchanges dumping, exchanges selling. Like, you could even see it on Arkham. And, like, there's loads of big things from, like, Coinbase, Binance, all this kind of thing. I pull that in time now if we can apply it to the other part of my F. Joe, I'm the wrong person to speak to about that. Word is gold to 20,000, silver to 2,000. Trump stops trading to revalue, so we keep a close eye on the metals for the moment. Seems like metals would show value first. As for when, 27, 28, maybe. I mean, the point would be with metals, they are seen as a hedge against risk, aren't they? To a degree, you know, particularly gold as an example. So, given that we kind of got that, and we kind of got this crazy stuff, again, we've talked about this a number of times before. 8:30 a.m. CPI came in lower than expected. One on the bullish CPI news. Bitcoin pumped 22.17 from 87,260 to 89,477 in just 60 minutes. $70 billion added to the crypto market. 94 million worth of shorts liquidated. 10 a.m. the manipulation starts. And I've been saying this for a while. And in fairness, today I will accept I let my emotions marginally get the best of me. Okay, I did. All right, and I'm sorry, okay? So if anyone does follow me on social media, particularly on X, I let my emotions get the best of me, right? And I apologize for that. If you're not wondering what I'm talking about, it was this. I posted this. At this point, I think we just give up and let the institutions take it. FML. Now, I'm not obviously in that super bearish place, but you get my point here. And I think I speak for most people when we say that. But, you know, this is kind of where I think a lot of people are really uncomfortable. And unfortunately, you know what they say, and I don't think it feels any better, by the way, but when you let big people come in and play, then sometimes you end up having to bear the brunt of it. But eventually, at some point, it may be the introduction of the Clarity Act, this will cease. And I think this is why we're seeing, I've been saying this for about 2 weeks now. I think the reason we're seeing so much of this right now is that there is no regulation to stop it. No one's going to do it. As much as maybe even the SEC would come in and say, all right, this isn't fair. They'd be like, well, hold on a minute, prove it. Like, you know, we're not doing anything we shouldn't be doing. This is just pure markets. You know, people liquidating assets, blah, blah, blah. I think potentially Clarity Act come in and eventually someone will have to step in and go, nah, this is nonsense. Like, this is absolute nonsense and we're going to have to fix it. So this is kind of why I was saying, this is why I've been saying all week as well. In fact, why I've been saying for the last 2 weeks, I would just sit on your hands. If you can take some of the, you know, potential trades, fine. But I think it's a really big risk potential at the minute. And I think at the minute, it's all about risk on versus risk. Sorry, all about risk off versus risk on. And I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. By the way, if you are wanting to do all of that kind of stuff and you are a seasoned trader, then don't forget we've partnered up with BITUNIX. We're offering some great opportunities to trade on their platform. Links in the description. Also in the Discord, link in the bio if you want to get involved in that. But we've got some insane sign-up bonuses, trade bonuses, all that kind of stuff. Not financial advice, never is on this channel. But again, if you want to go and do it, please, please, please be mindful. Check out the links. As always, they do support the channel. So, good. Bring back Gensler. I saw so many pictures of Gensler today where people are like, if Gary had been here, this wouldn't have happened. It's probably true, actually. It probably wouldn't have been. The difference is we probably wouldn't have been anywhere near 85,000. Up all his Paul's trading of XRP. Wow. That's wild. That's wild. Santa's portfolio is a lot like the naughty list. Highly volatile and full of unexpected drops. It really is. Sorry, I missed something at the very start. Tim, thank you so much for the gifted membership. Appreciate that, buddy. And Tim, welcome to the Crypto Bull family. So thank you so much. So Captain Sticks gets a membership from Mr. Tim. So thank you so much. By the way, if you want to get that channel membership, click the join button. That gets you into our Discord as well, where we have all our trade alerts, VC opportunities, as well as our how-to guide on trading these markets. Not financial advice, but if you're interested, it costs you about $5 a month. Totally worth it, in my opinion. Okay. So that's kind of the charts. Let's get into a little bit more then of what we can expect now of the 24 hours, because we're still not out of the woods. Volatility is still here. People are still very uneasy about the Bank of Japan. Now, you could also say, well, 2-bit. The fact that we know the Bank of Japan is going to increase their rates, is this a pre-sell the news event? So you've got an opportunity here to get out at 89,300. We've not been trading that place. CPI comes in. Was this just a big profit-taking event where we see this push down in the markets? And what comes later on in the day? Now, we may get another trap. We may get a little bit more of a push back to the upside before the Bank of Japan comes in. Equally, and I don't know this to be the case, by the way, I'm just kind of giving a view. Equally, we could end up with the Bank of Japan coming in and people just go, well, I don't really care. Like, I'm sick of getting wiped out anyway. Whatever, 25 basis points, who gives the monkeys? But let's get into it a little bit. I did want to spend a bit of time on this And we'll walk through, I guess, what to expect, what's coming, how is this going to play into the market, and should we be doing anything? I feel like this cup's day. Should we be doing anything? Davo in the building. What's going on? Chippers here. Alistair, I said to him yesterday, we see Japan up the rates, the yen will sell off, and people will convert into Bitcoin dollar. Maybe, Craig, maybe it's all a big ruse. Let's hope it is. Don't forget, by the way, give us a quick tap up on the like button if you are enjoying the content. If you're new here, by the way, do hit that subscribe button. We talk about crypto every single night. We're a bit different to other channels, though. We don't just sit here and talk nonsense. We try and get into some real depth of what's going on, real understanding of this market. Likewise, I put content out every single day. 11 o'clock, look out for your Bitcoin and broader economic update, followed by an XRP or an altcoin video later on in the day, and then potentially a little promo video or something that could be coming up that might be worth your time. It's definitely just worth having that notification bell turned to all, and you don't miss anything. Yeah, I saw that. That he moved on. He moved on that, and I hope that everyone will be still. Well, I mean, maybe. And by the way, shout out to everybody on TikTok as well. I appreciate you guys. Right. So Japan's policy shift, Bank of Japan at the turning point. A lot of people are brandishing this, and I think this is where it's worth starting. If you were not plugged into this market, okay, so let's say you aren't someone who comes to these live streams. Let's say you aren't someone that particularly aligns to the markets, and you just buy a little bit of Bitcoin here and there. You would be led to believe right now that the Bank of Japan is going from 0 to 75 basis points. They are going to hike 0.75% in less than like 8 hours, okay? The fact is it's not. It's a 25 basis points hike. The difference here is that it will actually make it a 30-year high on their interest rates. Eventually, I guess the point here is if you've held Japanese bonds, they will finally start to give you an element of return. This is what they're trying to do, stimulate the economy. Do you think this could all just be an end of a nothing burger and price already priced in? Maybe XRP Matrix, and we're going to try, and there'll be a vote at the end to see what you guys think. We're going to walk through this and potentially see where you guys feel about it at the end. Because maybe, all right? So markets expect a 25 basis points rate hike to 75%, to 0.75%, a 30-year hike, extending Japan's exit from the ultra-loose policy and inflation stays above target. Why this matters, and again, we've talked about this. So carry trade unwinds and how this could go across global risk assets, and in particular, why it could go across global trade. Now, does that mean that this hasn't been unwinded? If you think about it, we've been talking about this for 3 weeks. Everyone knows it's coming. The Bank of Japan are chucking in $1.18 billion stimulus to boost their economy. Like, it's coming. I think if people are totally freaking out about the Japanese carry trade, it should already be out. Bear in mind, we did actually liquidate huge amounts last November. So where does it all play to? Well, look, the fact here is that there is a 99.8% chance of a rate cut, and historically, Bitcoin has dumped. Now, what's worth noting here, by the way, is actually you had some tariff fears coming on the back of this as well. Namely, the 24th of Jan actually was a big tariff announcement at the same time that we saw this dump. These are the weekly charts. So as much as you could say, well, Bank of Japan hikes its rates here, and this is what caused it, I don't necessarily fully agree, because it's like, well, they were still raised here. So, 10 weeks, 12 weeks later on, actually, they were still in the same place. BTC USD, you have to the price. The price right now is $85,000. So, again, the fact is that the real risk is clearer and that it's bigger than just Bitcoin. This isn't about a 0.25% move. It's about what breaks when Japan finally stops pretending rates don't matter. For years, Japan has been the cheapest source of money in the world. Funds borrowed against yen at the near cost of zero, converted to dollar, bought stocks, bonds, crypto, private credit, etc. This is what we were talking about yesterday when it comes to private credit, because I think that's also important. Basically, a lot of people borrowed money from Japan at 0% and bought BTC with it. So I don't necessarily think that is as true as maybe a lot of people believe. What I think is probably more likely that's happened is you could definitely have seen people buying treasury yields, US bonds. Maybe they even bought them through stablecoin providers like USDC, USDT. We know they're some of the top 10 holders of US treasuries. The fact is that BTC trades 24/7. It's very liquid. When funds need cash, they sell. Once liquid, yen strength faces dollar, asset lower, risk gets dumped fast. That's why the Bank of Japan moves didn't cause slow pullbacks, but fast ones. But you already saw the warning signs. Price moves in a 5% range. Volatility spikes during Asian hours and sudden sell-offs with zero news. If the Bank of Japan hikes rates and signals more to come, the message is simple. Cheap global liquidity is over and a lot of people will be forced to sell their assets. That doesn't mean Bitcoin will crash to zero. It's more mature now than it was in 2022. This actually then may play out as a bit of a what do you call it when it's like a ruse? Bit of a ruse. Will the crypto market continue going down? I mean, the short answer would be yes. The more complex answer is maybe in the short term. But stick around. We'll talk a bit more about it in a minute. So, historically, this is how the big reset starts. If you're over leveraged, you need to rethink your strategy ASAP, which, again, we've been talking about now for ages. And the fact is that this is a key thing to watch for. We know it's coming. It's going to come. Does it make a difference? So, what is the expectation then that we could see? And could it get worse? Well, here, look, 0.25% hike feels like it's already priced in. So, XRP, to your point, that actually we could see short-term dip with a quick recovery likely, especially on the back, by the way, where we've just had this pretty big correction. You could argue maybe it is. If we were to see a 0.5 to 1%, though, that's a negative surprise. Risk-off mode. People are going to totally freak out. We're going to see a sharp fall, potentially even crashing us below $80,000. And I think that's something to worthwhile. The expectation is 25 basis points. The reality could be even worse, all right? They could really go for 50 basis and try and boost the market as much as they can. Markets don't fear hikes, they fear surprises. And I think that's a really important point. 25 basis points, I think we're probably okay. Japan's minister, though, Wakatabe, warns that the Bank of Japan says must avoid raising rates prematurely or withdrawing monetary support too much. So there is definitely pressure here to be like, don't screw the global economy. But I think a 25 basis points isn't probably going to do anything too much. But I do think it's probably going to be a little bit on the painful side. But the fact is, Warren Buffett, and we were talking about this, and I couldn't find the thing, but Warren Buffett shifted $350 billion into Japanese yen, hedging risk ahead of today's 75 basis point hike by the Bank of Japan. Expect huge volatility. Maybe Buffett knows. Maybe he doesn't. You think 75? Holy crap. You think they're going to go to 1.25%? So we think for UK time, it's between about 2:30 and 4 a.m. That's the expectation of it. Red days are buying ones. Yeah, I mean, again, my point still stands true, by the way. There's no way on this earth I would be buying right now. Stay strong, everyone. Going high soon. Maybe, yeah. Maybe. I'm sure no crash tomorrow when Japan increases rates. Tomorrow, the people will ignore them to the crash tomorrow and get caught, and the crash survives 3 days after tomorrow. Just say, maybe. Wisdom, maybe. They should raise it more. We raised ours to 5% and their inflation is double ours, which is nuts. I mean, that's true. That's true. There'll be too much global pressure on them, so they would literally they would unwind everything. If they raised to 5%, it would be better to borrow money from the US, which means you unwind every single bit of debt that's out of Japan. Now, I did try the best I could to find what the actual numbers look like, but I couldn't find it. So what is the US debt from lending in Japan? From lending from Japan, but I couldn't find it. I'll try again. Imagine if they paused rates and we rallied. I mean, that would be pretty insane, wouldn't it? Like all of a sudden they were like, we're probably not going to bother. It's going to be fine. But yeah, I think interestingly, a lot of people are having the sentiment that they are going to see it. So about 1.06 to 1.13 trillion in US Treasury securities as of late 24-25. One widely cited official estimate December 24 puts Japan holding a 1.061 trillion. So that's the potential risk. I think we did talk a little bit about this before, but it doesn't make super load of sense. So that gives you an idea there. Major foreign holders of United States Treasury securities. So this, I guess, at a government level tells us where they are, but it doesn't play out in where we want to see it, which is actually how much in private credit. Can you see what? Let's see if we can get this. What private credit is leveraged from Japan lending? Let's see if we can get that. That might be pretty interesting to see. Crack open, nice. Beebs, what's going on? Tim, thank you for the gifted membership. Thank you so much, man. I appreciate that. I appreciate that. And thank you for everybody tuning in, by the way. We've got like 100 and, how have we got? Like nearly 200 people here on the live stream. So shout out to everybody tuning in. Thank you so much. You guys are cool as. If you're enjoying the content, by the way, don't forget, give it a little thumbs up. And if you want to be subscribed to the channel, I highly recommend it. The global private market has grown rapidly over the past decade, now estimated around 2 trillion. Man, that's pretty wild, isn't it? This does not help me because this is, does anyone speak Japanese? The S&P 500, the IMF. So private corporate credit has generated significant economic benefits by providing long-term capital to corporate borrowers. However, the shift of such lending from regulated banks and relatively transparent public markets to the opaque world of private credit presents potential risks. But we were talking about this last night. Valuations are performed less frequently, credit quality is sometimes unclear or difficult to assess, and interconnections between private credit funds, private equity firms, commercial banks, and investors are now not always clear, making it difficult to understand how systemic risk may be increasing. So this a little bit is where we want to get into some of the private credit information, because if we see that, Muzino Financial Group has taken a stake in Golub Capital, US private credit manager with about 70 billion in asset under management, making direct involvement in private credit. Nomura is seeking to expand US private credit footprint and has invested at least 150 million. So there is a chunk of money sat within private credit, and equally then is leveraged debt. So private credit obviously is not for public view, which is essentially where we get to with some of this stuff. Japan's financial firms are increasing their role in private credit. There is no single publicly reported number for private credit leverage. Exposure diversified across. Okay, fine. Bond figures exit around the global private credit level around 2 trillion, and some individual Japanese commitments 2.5 billion in specific credit facilities. So the argument here would be, what the hell does that say? Media? What is that, media? I don't know what it says. The argument here would be there is a lot, all right? There's a fair old chunk of money sat within the Japanese market and potentially the unwind on this carry trade. Now, again, whether it's going to be as big as I think a lot of people predict, not sure. We'll see whether we do actually get a little bit of a BTC rally into it, 85,200. If we can continue at this level, this could be pretty interesting as markets sort of hold on, but we'll see. Noodle says, we're hungry. Go get some to eat then. Get some bulldog ranyan. Why not? Hey, why not? So I guess where does this take us to? So you either then say, well, Bank of Japan is going to do 25 basis points. Bank of Japan rate expectation. Let's see if we can get, where are we sitting right now? So the JPY USD forecast for the next thing. Oh, by the way, Craig didn't tell me. We should look at the Japanese yen. So here it is. So 155. So it's actually holding up relatively stable. That's a surprise. I actually thought we might have seen this rally to the upside, but so the yen versus dollar is pretty flat right now. Pretty flat. Not doing anything super crazy. Not doing super crazy. So here we go. What happened with US inflation data? Okay, fine. Here we go. This might give us a little bit more as to expectations. So the Japan interest rates from the 18th. Okay, yeah, perfect. So the past 7 trading sessions, USD JPY has lost nearly 1% of its value, with momentums favoring into Japanese yen, weighing on the US dollar. Okay, that's fine. That is probably exactly what we expect. A new wave of short-term selling pressure has begun to form as the market awaits the Bank of Japan's decision, as well as the recent US inflation data, which continues to project a weak outlook for the dollar. So dollar weakening, Japanese yen increasing. The possibility of a more aggressive Bank of Japan stance is supported by the recent inflation data in Japan, which now shows an increase towards 3% annually. Oh my God, yeah, that's, what did the US go to? 3.5? 3.75? So 3% annually, rising steadily from 2.7 recorded in August. So their inflation is going up. So I mean, there's just no way we don't see this at all, by the way. Confirms that inflationary pressures once again become relevant and that could become a serious issue if the Bank of Japan decides to keep rates too low in the short term. Okay. Message translated. Yeah. Thanks, mate. It's important to consider throughout 2025, the Bank of Japan has had one of the lowest interest rates in the world. Okay. Thus, if the Bank of Japan does not introduce unexpected changes, then the upcoming decision reaffirms the possibility of adopting a more aggressive stance. The next year, it could become a key catalyst in the more consistent wave of selling pressure in the USD JPY. That breaks down the Fed Watch, which Fed Watch conditional meeting probabilities. This is for the US market, right? Okay, so there is definitely an expectation that we are going to see it. I still feel they go 25 though. I don't know if this is telling us here. So the 28th, oh, that's 2026. Oh man, that's kind of annoying. I thought we might have got like 25 on there. Anyway, why is Trump Media Group up 42%? Well, I have the answer for you, and it is here. Look, they unveiled a 4.5 billion type with a nuclear fusion power firm. There you go. You see, ask and thou shalt receive. But we'll get to that in just a minute. We'll get to that. False says not screwed by an opportunity. Yeah, so 2 bits. Going on, cheese. Well, it's not necessarily tomorrow, mate. It's in about 8 hours. Earn profits, but yeah, I mean that's exactly what it is, isn't it? That's Mandarin. It's probably a language I wanted to learn, really. But anyway, following the release of the Fed's probability table adjusted. Okay, so this is the US data. So 3.75 March 18th. Okay, so then yeah, so they're expecting by Mid 2026, we could see 2.75 on US inflation, but we're expecting to be at 3% on the Japan. So let's kind of give it a little bit of a summary. I think is probably worthwhile here. So where do we get to? Expectations would be Bank of Japan comes in with a 25 basis points cut. Arguments would be that we probably get, I think anyway, we probably do see a marginal rally. I say marginal rally. It's probably more of a relief rally. Here's how I think. Let's look at the pre-markets for specifically for the Japanese market. Let's look at Japan market. The Japan pre-markets. Let's see what that comes up. So my view here would be that that is not what I wanted to look at. What is that? I don't even know what that is. What the hell is a PE forecast? I don't want a PE forecast. I want the pre-markets for tomorrow. Okay, fine. We're gonna have to go to CNBC. And we're gonna have to bring this up. So let's take a quick look, only quickly, at the potential on the Japanese buying 1X coin for the win. I don't even know what that is. So let's take just a really quick look at where we're going to get. So the USD versus JPY expectation is down, albeit very, very marginal. And the Hong Kong Stock Exchange is going to open reasonably flat. The Nikkei is going to be down. Okay, so yeah, so I think this probably plays out as I think we probably get. We probably get a small marginal relief rally into the Bank of Japan rate decision because people might be in a world of going, maybe it's not going to be as bad as we think. Maybe it's priced in. Maybe the fact we see this kind of leverage that's happened over the last couple of hours that people are like, okay, fine. So we probably get, maybe we get a rally to this upper range, by the way, here, 85,900 back to that retest line. Maybe we hold again. Look how important this line is, by the way. We were touching on this yesterday. And I do think we get the decision. I do think the market dumps on the decision. I absolutely think the market will dump on the announcement that the Bank of Japan reads it. What we don't want to see, and we could end up in all sorts of play. You know, we could end up looking at the Eye of Sauron as an example if we get a 50 basis points or higher. So if it comes in at 75, then I absolutely believe we'll probably retest a low 83,000. We may even break down below this. I mean, it would be an absolute freaking disaster, I think, if we get that. So we probably want to see it. We've moved over a course of, you know, the sort of weeks to come, which may end up just flushing us down to the bottom, maybe. I don't know. We'll have to sort of wait and see. But yeah, my predictions would be that we see a bit of a rally. I do think we stick to 25. I don't think they'll go too aggressive. The fact that they're already, where is it? The fact that their view is that they don't want to move too fast on this. Japan's minister, Wakatabe, warns the Bank of Japan must avoid raising rates prematurely or withdrawing monetary support too much. So he's in a world of, look, don't go crazy because you may really screw the economy. So I think we're probably in that place where 25 feels appropriate. It may then not be as bad as I think people think. So let's get your views on it. What do you think the BOJ do? Question mark. Raise 25 BPS, raise 50 BPS. I don't think we need to go higher than 75. 75. Is BPS right? I'm going to say yeah, but I don't know what BPS stands for. UK rate dropped today. Yeah, it did. Well, I mean, it come down again. 2 point, what are we at now? Like 2.5. ECB kept theirs flat. Interesting. How many points did it doesn't happen yet? Shine, it's going to be about between 2:30 and 4 a.m. if you're in the UK. Bitcoin will hit 73k this year. It's got about 2 weeks left. That'd be a pretty big drawdown if it does. So yeah, okay. So let's stay close to what's happening. Obviously, altcoins getting absolutely wrecked as you would expect on the back of this news, but hey, it is what it is. But I definitely think that we need to see what happens. What'll be interesting? I tell you what. Let's actually look at Bank of Japan previous rate hike dates. Let's actually look at when they did it. So this year, so past 25 rate, the Bank of Japan has raised rates twice since exiting its negative interest policy in March, January 24th. So January 24th, 2025 and July 31st. So let's take a look at exactly what happened on those 2 days. So the Bank of Japan raised rates. Let's take a look at what happened on BTC. So let's go to July 31st, which is up here somewhere. So they raised, July 31st, they raised from 0.25 to 0.5. So 25 basis points. July 31st is here. All right. So this is July 31st. So we saw Bitcoin go from 119 down about 2.75%. Obviously, though, we were probably in way more of a euphoric stage. And obviously, we went down then over the course of 3 days, down about 5%, 5.52 to be precise. Anyone want to hazard a guess what the move down today was? Just saying, 5.57, I think. And then we also saw January 24th. So Jan 24 is in here. So let's take a look at Jan 24 as an example, which probably is somewhere around here. Yeah, it's December, January. Here, look. So Jan 19th, Jan 22nd, 20th. So Jan 24th, here, look. So this is Jan 24th. We actually saw a pump of, 4.5% on BTC. So this is the thing, when people are going, oh, it's all bad news, like it's an absolute freaking disaster. Back into March of 2024, like get the heck out of it. We'll take a look at them back in 2024, actually. But yeah, 24th of Jan. We actually saw a pump on that day. Yeah, we dumped on the back of it. It's why I was saying, it's what I'm saying. Like, maybe it's not as bad as we think. And then July, like I said, they did the same. So interesting. Interesting. When can we see rate hikes? 2024. So when did they raise hikes in 2024? Bank of Japan only began raising rates March 2024. Okay, yeah, so 19th of March 2024. Let's take a look at that date because I think that would be an interesting one as well. Because then we can start to be in a world of saying, well, actually, if you're in an uptrending market, maybe it's not as bad as people think it is. If you're not, then it might be bad. So March 24th. So look at this. So March 24th, yeah, we actually got a move up in the price of BTC. Maybe it's not as bad as people think. Maybe we pumped to oblivion. I don't know. Who the heck knows right now? But I mean, that's pretty wild, isn't it? So let's think about that. Let's think about what we just sort of looked at. And I know that's dead easy that people go, oh, well, it's all bad news. But if we take the so 50% of the base rate hikes have caused Bitcoin to dump. All right. So it's 50-50. Yeah. One dump, one pump. Okay. 2024, the only time the Bank of Japan raised rates in 2024, Bitcoin moved up. I mean, that's a pretty wild statement, isn't it? That's a pretty wild statement. Let's see. Could we see the price of Bitcoin move up because of the BOJ rate hikes? We said this before. It's going to stimulate our economy. If you've been holding like Japanese bonds and treasuries, then you actually are just going to earn a bit of money on the back of it. Like this could be good news, by the way. We could actually see a little bit of a rise. So this actually I still think, by the way, we get volatility, but I mean, maybe tomorrow ends up being a pretty decent day. Maybe this marks the bottom of the bear market and we're all the way to the top. I don't know. High Japanese rates reduce the attractiveness of cheap borrowing, which we know. And a stronger yen reduces the carry trade. Okay, we know. Yeah, blah, 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 blah. It's possible, but not because of the rate hike alone. The scenario where BTC moves up despite tightening, the rate hike is priced in. Interesting. If we were to say that the rate hike is priced in, buy the rumor, sell the news, then we could see BTC push beforehand and stabilize after the event. Some traders believe the scenario is unfolding. Interesting. The Federal Reserve rate cuts could increase global liquidity, support risk assets. Again, this is maybe the offset. 25 basis points cut, Federal Reserve, 25 basis points hike in Japan. It's fine. This is why I'm saying anything more than 25, I think, is painful. 25 may just be priced in. It's like, yeah, maybe it's that. Typical response, Bitcoin tends to fall following the Bank of Japan rate hikes due to liquidity tightening and carry trade and wine pressures. Okay, we've just seen that. Short-term moves, market may already price in the hike, reducing the potential for a surprise to the upside. The broader macro support, Fed cuts, inflows, demand growth could override a Bank of Japan impact and lift BTC, but that's not the direct result of the Bank of Japan hikes itself. Pretty interesting. So, man, it's a difficult one to call, isn't it? I mean, you guys think that they're going 25. Okay, that probably aligns to my theory as well. Could we see a Bank of Japan rate hike and a BTC move to the upside? Could we see that? That could be pretty crazy, actually. One time says the Christmas pump. Maybe. Maybe. It's obvious BTC is going to pump to the high heavens end of the year. Well, I hope so, Stardog. What time is the decision? It's about 2:30 UK time. Between 2:30 and 4 a.m. is expectation of it. But obviously it depends in terms of their actual thing. But yeah, expect it by 4 a.m. is probably what I would say. Shine says, I think they do 0.5. Man, we don't want 0.5. I mean, they maybe do, by the way. FYI, by the way, 240 people in the live stream right now on YouTube. Thank you so much, everybody, for tuning in. Don't forget, give us a quick thumbs up if you haven't already. And if you haven't already, also hit that subscribe button. I definitely recommend it's worth it, 100%. Yeah, though we need to see. So I think 25 basis points may actually end up being reasonably okay based on the fact that we've seen this pretty aggressive dump on Bitcoin today. Out of kilter. I mean, look at this. Look at the chart, by the way. I mean, the momentum is definitely down, which you need to be mindful of. But we said this as well. If you remember, I was talking about this at the beginning part of the week, the M pattern, this big M pattern. So we may even come down and retest this. Maybe the scenario plays out. Bank of Japan goes 25. BTC pushes down to the lower range here, the 83,488, which we know we tested here. We tested here. Followed then by a bounce back to the upside. Maybe that's the play. Maybe that's the thing. I would absolutely be very cautious if you are going to trade anything, by the way. But if you are going to do it, that's the best place to do it. No KYC and available all over the world. Link in the description. Check it out. But yeah, we may see that bounce, which would be pretty insane. What's interesting as well, by the way, Ethereum is starting to push back with a couple of altcoins starting to move back up. So yeah, this market maybe is not as freaked out as we thought it was. It's still not great, by the way. But yeah, BTC now back up to 85.5. So yeah, interesting. Interesting. I would like to hear Craig's opinion. Yeah, I want to hear Craig's opinion. Where is Craig? New Year pump. Let's up. So jelly pumping today. What is jelly? I don't even know what that is. I don't even know what that is. Sounds pretty interesting. Vincenz, thank you so much. Love your insight. Hey, thank you so much, man. We try and I don't know. We try and just it's been a long time coming this, but I feel like we're pretty much on the pulse of this market right now. So yeah, I appreciate it, man. Thank you so much for the kind words. Really appreciate it, actually. It's not often people are like, yo, too bad. I kind of enjoy what you do, which is great, actually. I'm super bullish on that comment. Thank you so much. In Inksy, many people have been reading this wrong, and we actually are about to go up. Well, I mean, maybe. That's a very interesting point. That is a very interesting point. Let's see if we can find out. Let's see what people are saying. Let's see if we can get a little bit of a perspective. I do want to jump into a couple of other little bits of info. I mean, here's one question. Why is Warren Buffett chucking $350 billion into the Japanese yen? Like, why is he doing that? He's obviously expecting the Japanese yen to go up. I mean, he's not been wrong so far, in fairness. I mean, he's obviously holding a lot of cash. So maybe he knows what, I mean, obviously he's not going to know what's coming, but maybe that's just how it's going to play out. I'm just going to add to my margin, so not to get liquidated rather than add to my trade. I'm long at the moment. Yeah, I mean, I tried to set, well, I was thinking of setting some couple of long trades. I actually tried to short the market earlier and I missed it, which is annoying. But yeah, what do you think, 2026? I mean, it's a hard one to call. It is a hard one to call. Your assumption would be if we are in a bear market, October becomes the bottom and we start to move our way back up. I think, like I've said, we've got to kind of wait and see what happens. Tomorrow morning is kind of probably the one we're interested in. Stu says, I work on the base that if BTC was going nowhere but down, then Sailor wouldn't be completely out of it weeks ago. Yeah, I mean, Sailor is kind of one of the big props, if you like it. Mr. Goddard says, all the good news from XRP and still going down. Why? Because the broader market's going down. But as we've said before with something like XRP, and I stand by this sentiment, by the way, I think that XRP is one of those coins that has so much more going for it that other cryptocurrencies don't go, that it could just one day go and, up it goes, basically, yeah. Illumina hitting high since... Illumina, man, I can't believe I called it that. So, okay, let's take a look really quickly at what the I guess, the mainstream media is expecting on this Bank of Japan stuff. Bank of Japan set to hike rates to 30-year high. Why this is bad. CNBC says Bank of Japan is poised to raise rates to 30-year high despite economic weakness. Interesting. So this is an interesting, this will be an interesting one then. So the Bank of Japan poised to raise rates to the highest levels since 95. Rate like is likely to strengthen the yen against the dollar and contain inflation. So what they're trying to do. However, it risks further weakening the Japanese economy. Okay, well, this probably tells us then that 25 is probably a pretty good shout. Japan's central bank on Thursday kicked off its latest policy meeting of the year. Oh, can we see the notes for that? That would be pretty good. So they've got revised GDP showing that Japan's economy is 3 months through September contracted more than initially estimated. Oh, okay. Shrinking 0.6 quarter on quarter to 2.3 as an annual basis. Okay, that's against like a US expectation of GDP at like 6% or something kind of crazy. With the rate hike almost certain, experts say the market focus will be more on the Bank of Japan's commentary after the decision. Oh, what? Gregor M.A. Global Multi-Asset Chief Investment Officer. Oh, we talked about this yesterday, look. Alliance Global Investors. We looked at their forecast for 2026-27, didn't we, last night? Signals around a neutral or terminal rate, one that balances inflation and economic growth, and comments on the yen weakness will be some of the things to look out for. So I reckon, I'm sticking out there and saying 25. Paul Gilroy says, I feel like shorting BTC. It could be another fake out like a few days ago. What do you mean? It's dumped nearly what? Oh, you mean now? Sorry, you mean now. I mean, it's rally. Look at this. It's playing out exactly as I said it was probably going to do. 85.7 nearly. I mean, some people might say it's because I'm live, but 85.7, like, yeah, BTC is kind of rallying a little bit right now, which is super interesting given where we've been. Unfortunately, the neutral rate of interest is a concept for which we can only produce an estimate where quite range. Ueda told Japan's parliament, while efforts have been made to narrow the rate range, Ueda said the Bank of Japan must guide monetary policy without clarity on where exactly the neutral rate lies. Okay, so I think we can be fairly confident-ish. I mean, obviously, you can never be super confident and say it's probably 25 because they don't want to weaken their entire market. I mean, they could, if they went 50 or even 75, you know it, Cheese. If they went 75, they are definitely at risk of making their market, their economy contract even more, aren't they? Like, think about it. Central bank is not directly just foreign exchange concerns, but should a way to comment that the yen's weakness directly will be seen in the line in the sand. The yen has been trading around 154 to 156 against the dollar since November, having weakened over 2.5% since Prime Minister Sanae Takashini, as a proponent of looser monetary policy, took office in October. Okay, we looked at that. That's fine. Yields at 2.5 would mean interest payments for the Japanese government will jump to 16.1 trillion for 2028 fiscal year compared to 7. Look at this. Yeah, they're going 25. No way they go higher than 25. Which then probably tells us we could argue and say maybe it's all freaking priced in. Maybe. Because you're live too, but thanks, man. I appreciate it. Going to be 50% test markets or 25. Joe, bro, I'm going, after reading this, by the way, so think about this. So 2.5% yield means that they are basically doubling their debt that they have to pay back. So you're trying to stimulate an economy because you need the economy to stimulate. In order then to do that, you're going to risk, if they go even higher, let's say they go to 3% on inflation, like, oh my God, that's 20 trillion. That's like a chunk of change, that. That's like nearly 50% of US debt. It's crazy. Yeah. Okay. Well, I think we can probably safely put this to bed now and say 25 basis points is probably expectation. Maybe priced in. Certainly markets feel like it's priced in. What you've got to watch, though, is the market makers. I want to try and bring up a little bit on the exchanges just to kind of prove the point, but just to sort of see what is going on. I don't think that would be a bad thing. Let me see if I can find. Oh, did you guys see that Caroline Ellison has been moved from a high security prison, by the way? She's be getting out soon. Just letting you guys know. Right. That's not what I need to say. I want to see. What do I want to see? Okay, maybe this actually. Maybe this is going to help me out. And let's do this and go to that. Okay, this might work. This might work. Okay, so let's just really quickly take a look at what's going on with some BTC, because this will kind of tell us what's happening. Are exchanges, liquidity providers, sort of preparing maybe for what's coming? So look at this. You're seeing Binance hot wallets moving around. These are all in tens of millions, by the way, of BTC. So we're looking for anything out of the ordinary. 9 minutes ago, you can see a little bit of moving around. Wintermute starting to move a bit of a chunk of BTC kicking around. It may be nice to see a couple of other ones as well. But yeah, I mean, nothing super crazy right now. But definitely a little bit on the move. Can we see on-change exchange flows? That is by the day. I don't really want to see it by the day. I want to see it. I wanted to see it way more as a view. But okay, so let's kind of summarize and say, well, expectations there on the Bank of Japan is 25 basis points. Man, BTC just absolutely sold off right now. 25 basis points coming in. The Japanese yen expectation will be that this should, in theory, go up versus the dollar. So you would see a green candle. So if you got 25 basis points and a downtrend in the yen, then that would actually be pretty good news, actually. That would be counterintuitive and would say that the dollar didn't weaken against the yen, which probably then means the Federal Reserve cutting in the December meet probably means that that's actually a pretty good news story. I tell you one thing we probably need to look at really quickly as well, which would be where does the Fed expectations sit now, given that? So 26, so nothing different here. So this will be another indicator that we'll probably take a look at tomorrow night to say, does this impact the Fed's decision or maybe what they do next? So, okay, so yeah, might not be as bad as they think, but be mindful. Major red in the past months. AC3, what's going on, buddy? Welcome in. I'm pretty sure this is the result of what is coming tonight. Maybe, John. I mean, you're probably not wrong. We were sort of saying that. And I think you'll see, I mean, that's probably another indication, by the way. Look at that. Look at US bonds. The 30-year selling off 0.5%, the 10-year down 0.7%, the 2-month and in the 1 month down over 1%. So you could argue and say, yeah, there is definitely an expectation that we are selling off a little bit here. So Joe Bro says they might have priced it in. They may well have done so. I mean, who would have thought that? And I think, I mean, I'd like to think that that was probably the case, but yeah. Okay, good. I think that's a fairly good assumption of where we get to with a lot of that stuff. Let's take a look at just some other bits and pieces that are worth noting. Bitcoin doesn't move at random. It follows the 4-year cycle. We talked on this yesterday. 4-year cycle. Are we heading to the retest and the repetition area, which means that we come down and retest this bottom range before bouncing back to the upside? Maybe. Stock market looks okay. Yeah, the pre-markets look pretty good, actually, which we'll take a look at in a minute. But yeah, I mean, pre-markets actually look okay. Stock futures on BTC are down marginally, but yeah. MSTR down, Coinbase down, Tesla 3.5%, AMD, Nvidia. Yeah, stock. I mean, obviously the stock market's closed, but yeah, you could argue and say stocks actually look okay. We'll take a look at the stock market futures in just a minute because that might not be a bad thing. But yeah, maybe this is playing out. Obviously, US inflation and jobless claims actually came in pretty good. Forecast 224, bang on the money. A little bit below where we got previous. Again, this was pretty bullish news, which again is good news. Now, I talked yesterday about MicroStrategy, and I said they were looking for some money from Morgan Stanley. Turns out that's not the case. They were actually talking about this MSCI delisting of crypto stocks. With Morgan Stanley Capital International decides to proceed with its delisting proposal. So they were clearly in a discussion of going, hey, come on, Morgan Stanley, don't delist MicroStrategy. We can't afford it. We're negative on our quarterly number. That's probably nearly 1% right now. ICG says we pump tomorrow, boys. I hope so. But yeah, interesting. Now, a couple of people were asking about Trump Media. Look at this. Trump Media unveiling the $4.5 billion time with a nuclear fusion firm. Pretty interesting here. They also got involved in the government-backed TAE Technologies. Now, if you remember, Google are going big on blockchain. I'm not saying the two are linked, but it's kind of interesting. Trump Media Technologies plans to build the world's first utility-scale fusion power plant next year. It looks to be the new technology to help, power, guess what? Giant data centers behind the advance of artificial intelligence. It's all linked, I'm telling you. It's all AI, data centers. It is. It's crazy. I saw a pretty big chunk of XRP at a loss, so we'll definitely pump. Yeah, I keep saying that. John says, I just tell myself hold because it will come back up again. Got to have patience, which most don't have. That's true. And I would always say that if you're holding things like Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, SUI, XRP, they're multi-cycle products, aren't there? Not that anyone wants to go zero, but yeah, interesting. But yeah, I thought this was interesting. Look at this as well. The firm is backed by Alphabet, Google, and oil giant Chevron. What else is Alphabet backing? Data centers, Oracle, AI, blockchain. Like, it's all linked. It's all linked, bro. This is a pretty interesting one, by the way, as well. Look at this. It's a really small chart, so I apologize. But yeah, the supply of BTC and older wallets, so older being redeactivated over the past 2 years, and a percentage of total supply is increasing. Big wallets are coming in, cashing out. The transfer of capital from those older generation to the newer generation feels like it's on the agenda. So yeah, pretty interesting as where that applies. Will there be financial proposing a 5% treasury allocation to support USD1 growth? Pretty interesting as well. USD1, look out. There's a lot of Trump-related things. And he comes on last night and he's like, yo, the market's fine. Don't worry about it. We're going to the moon, everybody. How far into the bear market would you think we are? I mean, technically, you would call the bear market from the top, which, by the way, as it stands right now, I'm still the closest to the absolute top. And I was 2 weeks out. I said October 25th, and we came in October 6th. You would argue we're probably 2 months in if you assume that this was the top and that the bear market is here. Now, there's still a lot of macro sentiment that sits that could argue that the bear market isn't here, but We'll see. Need Oracle to get funded and I'll be bullish. Yeah, 128 billion. That's what they need, though. It's a pretty big number. Put the data centers in space. Ooh, it's wild. But yeah, this data center stuff, I'm telling you. I am telling you. What did Oracle do today, by the way? Up 0.8. Watch out. AI, man. It's like, it's absolutely the thing to keep your eyes peeled on it. Damn, just messed up and sold. Too much XRP. Thinking the first transaction didn't go through when it did. Oh, Craig. Craig's front running the market, everybody. We're all going to be fine. We're all going to be fine. Man, Craig, you're selling XRP, bro. What? 181. It's down 2.5%. What? We've been in one almost over. I mean, Tim knows. Tim knows. I feel like I'm neglecting TikTok tonight, but you guys aren't really chatty over here, so I don't feel like I'm I don't think I'm too missing you guys. But anyway, you got any questions, by the way, thoughts, opinions, let me know. What's a good entry price on XRP? I mean, right now, unfortunately, we have actually broke below this support line that we had on. So, I mean, let's see. Like, I mean, you kind of have to discount this move because you know, are we going to retrace to 52 cents? Nah, mate. Nah, I don't think so. I don't think so. Where could we head to as a potential? Let's take a look on a macro side of things. I mean, you could argue and say maybe if you went all the way down, this would align to our upper range of the 0.5. You could say maybe 169 could be a decent-ish price that you could look for to get in at. I think you're probably way better going in a smaller time frame though, and start to think about where this would get. I mean, it's kind of annoying that we broke. I mean, probably now is not the worst time. If you think the market's going to roll over further though, be mindful because it could go down a little bit further. But if you said, well, the top to the bottom, sorry, where do we sit? You know, you've got support 172, 169, 152. I think, again, though, my view a little bit, and I've said this kind of over the course of this week, you either, you're just trying to, right now, this is a descending, you know, you're falling knife, you're probably just selling into real panic, which I think you have to be very, very mindful of. Equally, it always depends where you get in. I know a lot of us on the channel got in super, super early, so... just Binance still. I think so. You can see it on the Ethereum chain if you wanted to have a look at it. You can see it on Etherscan. You can kind of get a bit of a view as to who holds what. I mean, Jasmy, I mean, I still think Jasmy's got a product. That's the difference. It's got a product that works, which I think is very, very different. But yeah, so you can see here, look, this is Jasmy coin. Hey, not sure if you have an uphold account, but trying to buy a little of XRP and all the XRP. Yeah, I don't have an uphold in fairness. I don't have uphold, so. Yeah, so Binance Hot Wallet owns around $23.1 million. You got a couple of other wallets in there. Revolt, eToro, Crypto.com, Mexi, BTC Turk, whatever that is. Kraken. There's some chunks out of there. But yeah, essentially Binance holds the vast majority of it. With probably Revolt, Uphold, eToro, a couple of others in there. But yeah. That's kind of where you can see the holding of Jasmy. Right, let me close this. This. We don't need that open. Pre-markets. I mean, pre-markets look all right, in fairness, for US markets. Look at that on the NASDAQ. The NASDAQ looks like it's going to skyrocket. The VIX looks like it's got very little volatility as well. Look at this, negative 4.2. So, like, yeah. Does that seem odd that nothing else is frozen, able to buy, but XRP you can't? I mean, a little bit. The only thing I would say, by the way, I am pretty bullish on XRP. I like XRP as a coin. The only thing I don't do is subscribe to like the craziness that a lot of people say where they're like, oh, the banks are stopping you buying XRP. I don't necessarily think it's that. I mean, maybe people are freaking out and are trying to sell loads of XRP. I mean, I don't know why, but I mean, maybe they are. You just got to do what you think is right for you. Do we think the bear market's here? I mean, if you were to say, well, I think the bear market's here, I mean, how much lower is Bitcoin really going to go? Another 10,000? I mean, what was our best case bottom was like 65 to 70K. I mean, technically, it's only going to retrace like another, what? 20% maybe? I had a ripple warning when trying to get some off Coinbase. Ooh. Interesting. Interesting. The Japan hikes might already be priced in. Rizzler, yeah, institutions would make crazy gains from pushing up. Yeah, I mean, that's what we were just talking about. That actually, could this all just be a massive, like, fake out? It is literally a sell the rumor, buy the news, isn't it? Like, it literally is. dump. Bank of Japan isn't going to raise it as much as people think. Like, all of a sudden, the markets feel way more optimistic. You get an uptrend move. And I think if we do get an upside move on the back of it, people will probably quickly forget and be like, oh, actually, it's not as bad. The question will be the US market open, which is why we're looking at the pre-markets. So that would be my advice to anybody, not financial, by the way. I would stay really close to the pre-market expectations on the open, because that would tell us what the US market's going to do. Because don't forget, when the Nikkei, the Shanghai Stock Exchange, Shenzhen, all those open, the rest, we're all asleep. But yeah, I mean, it is interesting that Trump spoke yesterday specifically about, the US economy, how well it's doing, all these stimulus checks. Everyone's like, this is great, ahead of what is essentially a global market unwind. It's basically like in the next 8 hours. In the next 8 hours, it's Shan. People just shut it and hold. Don't be the one who regrets selling XRP when it's over 1,000 plus a coin. What's going on, Bearded? Good to see you, man. Bearded, type in where people can go and get a discount using my code. I can never remember. Is it like the Bearded company or something? Bearded Daddy company or something? .com or something? Put it in the chat. Aptus, where have you been all my life? Good to see you, man. Welcome in. Welcome to the 230 people in the live stream as well, by the way. You know what to do. Give us a quick thumbs up. Massively appreciate it. If you haven't already subscribed to the channel, highly recommend doing so. And also, if you want to get involved in our free Discord, link in the description. Also, it's in my bio here on TikTok. It's totally free to get involved in that great community where people chat about all things. Again, do be mindful, though, if you join, I will not DM you. I do not DM. If you want to get hold of me in any way, shape, or form, just type in the general chat. I am the only person with a red name in there, all right? So if anyone contacts you outside of our Discord, that is not me, all right? Please be mindful of that. And, but yeah, if you want to get involved, then jump in the Discord. Definitely worth it, in my opinion. Future, there's supposed to be like a 45% chance of the nodes getting blocked from not updating software. Ooh, interesting. It's all good, man. It's all good. Okay. Man, have you seen what time it is? Oh my God, I've been live an hour and 5 minutes. Where has this stream gone? Where is this, honestly, where has this stream actually gone? Man, it's just because there's loads of people here, which is like super bullish. And, because I feel like we may have a handle on this market, that maybe we've got an edge. We've got an edge on this channel that many other people don't. I mean, I don't know if that's true or not, but okay, good. What else do we need to just take a quick look at right now that we haven't seen? We talked about CPI, which was good. And yeah, lowest level since 2023. That's pretty interesting if you think about it. Obviously, the Bank of England cut their interest rates again. Although I do feel like we had to. Basically, I don't think there's necessarily a choice. They have to offset the budget, which was a disaster. So yeah, pretty interesting that we see that. The Trump account news, economic impact and market reaction. Obviously, he talked about that last night. That is not what I wanted to look at. Which essentially is saying that, yeah, there's an economic boom in 2026. Maybe these are some of the things to align. The only thing is very nondescript of what it is, but interesting. Open alive during the Asian markets, all night cup of Joe party. I mean, I could do, if I wasn't doing my normal 9 to 5 job. Do you know what? I absolutely would do that, by the way. 100%. I'd be going live on key things, because that would essentially be my job. But unfortunately, I have to be up at like 6:30 in the morning to go and do the 9 to 5. Or what is at the moment, like a 7 to 7 or something. But yeah, it'd be fun though. I have a friend about to sell his XRP. I've been begging him to never sell. It's time to send him. The world is way too bearish. There's going to be such a big. I mean, Adam, you're probably not wrong, and we've seen this before. You know, whenever markets feel one way, then sometimes they have a nasty habit of going the complete other way. I think at the minute though, we sort of just have to be in a world of see. It's a see what happens event, in my opinion. Cup of Joe better than a tea at night. I mean, that's true, in fairness. That's true. Okay. Okay. Let's take a quick look at the institutional buying today. In fact, let's take a look here. So let's just take a look and see what happens from a macro standpoint. So 550. Look at this. 550 million liquidated, 393 on the longs. Never a great sentiment, in fairness, by the way. And yeah, that kind of gives you a bit of a view as to where we sit. Where do liquidations sit? A lot of it in BTC. So you can see there, look, how much got liquidated on the 24 hours on the BTC longs. That is a painful one. Where we get to a little bit with Bitcoin ETFs. Let's see what they did today. I don't necessarily think this will be good news, but I think it's probably worthwhile keeping a peek. So BlackRock, interesting. Look at that. BlackRock bought. There is demand that BlackRock are going to buy. Man, this could be what? Holy crap. This could actually play out to be super wild in the next 12 hours. Like we could see. So remember, this is essentially a expectation of buying. It's not necessarily what they have bought, but an expectation that their customers. There you go. Look, head to what's it called? BeardedDaddyCompany.com and use code 2BitCrypto for a 25% off discount. There you go. It is that, isn't it? BeardedDaddy.com, yeah? Is it this one? It is this one, isn't it? Yeah. It is this one. There you go. Look, go to BeardedDaddyCompany.com and use code 2Bit and you get... Is it this one? I feel like it is this one. Is it not this one? Maybe it's not this one. Is it this one? I don't know. I feel like it was, but maybe it's not. Who knows? Anyway, find it and you can get... might be one of the moderators to put it in the chat. I'm not sure if it lets people put things in, but no, I think it is that one. Anyway, so yeah, so we could end up seeing like a pretty interesting rally into the Bank of Japan rate hikes. People might not care. Certainly from an ETF perspective, it looks pretty interesting. The expectation is that that is for their customers that they want to buy. We saw inflows yesterday on ETFs. That's also pretty interesting as well, of around $457 million. Maybe the bottom's in, everybody. We all got fooled. And the bottom's actually in. The market's going to be fine. Maybe that's the case. I don't know. I mean, Bitcoin is trying to rally back up. I mean, if BTC can go green on the day, that would be pretty insane. 2 hours to go, followed then by, you know, the Bank of Japan rate interest. I don't want to say hikes because, well, I mean, it is technically going to be hikes, but yeah. Interesting. Very, very interesting. Okay, 48% of you believe that it's going to be 25 basis points. I absolutely think I agree with you guys on that point. So yeah, I think it's pretty interesting. Okay, if you guys got any questions, thoughts, opinions, maybe you've got a statement, I don't know what it is, let me know. Drop it, you know, take your questions, your thoughts, opinions. I mean, Ethereum might go green, which would be pretty wild. Yeah, I mean, we talked about the Raoul Pal scenario last night. Tom Lee is like full on send it. Is that what it is? No, yeah. Is it BeardedDaddyCompany.com? The one I brought up on the screen, yeah? I'm assuming it is. So, yeah, maybe we end up with this. Maybe this is, I mean, I don't want to get kind of too crazy on the back of it, but maybe this is the, you know, maybe this is kind of what it's all about. And maybe this is a pivotal moment in the market. Maybe no one's going to freak out about it. I mean, we don't have a lot left in terms of data, by the way, for the end of the week. I mean, that's it. We're sort of done now, aren't we? Nothing really coming in tomorrow. I mean, maybe a little bit on the Michigan consumer expectations, but I don't think it's going to be a big deal. I don't necessarily know. We get a little bit on. I mean, that could be an interesting one. GDP growth next week could be an interesting one. 3.2. So that would be a revised down. PCE next week. ISM stuff. That'll be interesting. So we get a little bit of data actually on the Tuesday. Might be interesting. Might not be. And then we're sort of into Christmas then, aren't we? And that's it. Oh my gosh, man. I think it should be Christmas jumper night tomorrow night, by the way. I'm calling it. Let's call it Christmas jumper night. Everyone needs to wear a Christmas jumper for tomorrow night's live streams, all right? Japan will little pump us, markets dump it. I mean, potentially. I mean, the US markets have been terrible. Will you be going live later? I don't think so. It's like 4 a.m. for me, so it's super late. What I will be doing, though, is live tomorrow night, talk all about it. But yeah. This is the thing. I mean, if I was a full-time cryptocurrency YouTuber and TikToker, then yeah, I definitely would. But at 4 a.m., I reckon it's probably a little bit early for me, to be honest. There we go. Yeah, look at that. Thanks, Tim. Oh, man, Tim, you're having a disaster with this. That was the right one. All right, awesome. You're having a disaster with a disaster with the website address. I've got it, Tim. I've got it. Here. There you go. If you're interested, check it out. There you go. If you're interested, get all your shaving things and then use the code 2BitCrypto. You get 25% off. So there we go. That's fantastic. I saw a stream guy made 70K while shotting BTC in like 50 minutes. You have to be careful though, right? And a lot of people know me and I'll just say it as it is. I'm not in like any weird YouTube cabal. Like I kind of keep myself to myself. Loads of those accounts are funded accounts. So the exchanges will be like, hey, can you show us like, show our account? Like that's why you generally don't see me trade on some of these things. And what they do is there's little risk attached to it because they just get the account refunded again. So yeah, but equally, I mean, some people can. Like, man, I've seen people make insane amounts of money, but what they don't tell you is how much they lose. The leverage trading is super risky, and if you don't know what you're doing with it, then I just would absolutely leave it alone because it's pretty wild. But if you were going to do it, trade with less leverage, low margin, get used to it, get a feel, try and get a practice account. You can even come to TradingView, by the way, and they offer some... you can kind of get like a little bit of a practice thing. Get used to it, understand charts. If you know nothing about charts, you don't know how to read technicals, then I would just stay away from it. Coming down to a bit, I've been up for 36 hours and hopping a plane. On hopping on a plane to the UK, you can go until 4 a.m. Griff. I mean, that's true. And I would, by the way, but I've got 3 kids and I've got a normal 9-to-5 job that I've got to do. Crowman! What's going on, bro? Welcome in. Welcome in. Maybe one day when this is like, you know, this is literally my job. You know, we can all dream, can't we? We can all hope. But yeah, I mean, let's see what happens. Let's see what happens. What I would say, by the way, a pretty bullish stream. We had, we maxed out at like 270 people, which is probably one of the biggest streams I think I've had. I think I had 300 and something once, but that's a pretty big stream. So shout out to everybody for tuning in. And if you enjoyed the content, don't forget I live stream every single day of the week except Saturdays. I'm here 6 days a week, 9 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. UK, walking and talking through what's going on. So if you are interested in all that, don't forget the subscribe button, turn the notification bell on. That way you're updated every time we go live. But do join us. It's really, really good news. Stop trading. You see how that has been working out. Yeah, 100% unrusted, Pat. Right, like 100%. Leverage trading is wild right now. Wild. Daniel, I don't think so. I don't think so, personally. I don't know how much truth's in it as well, to be honest, but I don't think so. Did Trump say much? Nothing that you wouldn't have expected. Economy's booming. 2026 is going to be huge. Inherited a mess. You know, it's that age-old saying, isn't it? A lot of people in management say it. You inherited a... you left the palace, but inherited a shit show. You know, it's that thing, isn't it? So, yeah. But yeah, I think the best is yet to come according to Trump 2026. Maybe it's a big thing. Maybe it's the mover and groover in the market. I mean, is anything gone green right now? Zebek's gone green. Interesting. Swift has gone green. Memes are absolutely getting smoked. After hours on the S&P 500 up a little bit. The NASDAQ up a little bit. The dollar up a little bit, interestingly enough. The yen looks like it is still falling in after hours. That's kind of interesting as well. Let's look at the 5 minute on the yen. Look at this. Look at this, bro. The yen is declining. Now, this would suggest, again, what we were sort of talking about, that maybe this isn't going to be as bad as we think it's going to be. Now, the debate would be, and this is tinfoil hat territory, by the way, maybe the debate would be people are selling out of US treasuries. They think the Japan carry trade is going to unwind. It doesn't. And people go, oh, screw it, I'm going to buy Bitcoin. Maybe that's the thing. We'll see. Zebek, yeah, Silver Days XRP, what's going on? Any thoughts on Solana? Yeah, I'm bullish on Solana. I enjoy my 6.75% staking rewards every single day. And I think it's got a massive upside potential. It just has to rally whatever this storm is that we've got. Could even go sub 100, which wouldn't be great, by the way. But yeah, I do like Solana. 119.7, so it does need to probably get a little bit of a wriggle on. But yeah, I'm not adverse to a little bit of Solana. It's actually one of my top 5 holdings. The yen carry the way. Yeah, it did. Yeah, 100%. 100%. But at the same time, by the way, it kind of has done. I mean, when you look at the historical rate of the actual yen, is it going to let me see what it was? Oh, it's going to be super annoying if I can't see it. Yeah, so here we go. This is probably going to be fine. Let's bring this up. So this goes all the way back to 2009. So it has had a 0.5% policy rate. So again, this is why I think people are kind of getting this a little bit confusing. They think it's going to raise 0.75% overnight. It's kind of not. Well, John, if you haven't seen my video from earlier on, go and watch that, or you could go watch my video yesterday. I talked about it. There is loads of speculation right now that you've got big market makers, particularly someone like Jane Street, just dumping the market, coordinated, aggressive sell-offs, and then buying back in, which, I mean, probably kind of aligns a little bit to what we're seeing right now. But, yeah, I mean, look at BTC, right? 85,700 we just wicked to. So this is on the 5-minute chart. Look, BTC is, I mean, it is macro trending up. But yeah, so look at this. Bank of Japan raised interest rates Jan 24th. We know that. But, you know, you can see that there is a policy rate that's already here. There is a policy rate that's beating on this value. So as much as people think it's a 75 basis point hike, it's not. If it comes in at 25, then, you know, that's aligned to where I think people think it's going to go. So, yeah, BTC is uptrending on the, I mean, this is the 5-minute. Like, it is uptrending on the 5-minute. So, yeah, I mean, look, right now, BTC is moving up. 100% 2-bit, but at 0% interest all borrowed from Japan. Now Japan wants their money. Yeah, true. But my point is, though, that it's not been at 0%. The policy rate's been at, since like 22, it's actually had policy rate in. 21, it was at 0, but you're right, you're at 100%. But we have actually seen, you know, elements of having some inflation in, right? From mid-24. So, but yeah, I mean, historically, yeah, it's been 0. Will pump fund lawsuit end Solana down? No, I don't think so. I don't think so. I think the pump fund things, like, that'll just be kept. Because don't forget, if you look at, just an example, on Solana, pump fund's not actually that big a deal anymore. I don't think, anyway. I mean, I mean, no one talks or cares about meme coins. Jupiter's a bigger opportunity. Look at the TVL on Jupe, 2.57 billion. Now, obviously, pump fund isn't really on. Oh, it is down here. Look at this, 202 million. Like, yeah, no one cares about pump fund anymore. So I don't think it's the biggest risk. There's way bigger deals. Meteor will be another one that I think's a little bit shady, but hey, that's my opinion. But yeah, Jupe's the biggest one right now. But yeah, I don't think pump fund. And again, they've got to try to get it through. I mean, it would be pretty crazy if they did, but yeah. From tomorrow, we will go up. Mark my word. Cobalt, what's going on, bro? I'm down for it. I'm 100% down for it, man. What about BTC going up, trend on the 15-minute? I think I said that, didn't I? Crypto President, what's going on, bro? Welcome in. How about Ondo? Yeah, I mean, I'm still holding my Ondo, and I'm still bullish on it. I'm just really... I mean, if you think about some of the prices, Ondo's 37 cents. 37 cents. Like, are you kidding me right now? Asta, look at Asta, 68 cents. Even CZ can't push that. So you could argue, and, you know, not that I think this is any sort of good strategy, by the way, but you kind of go, how much lower can altcoins really go? Really? And you could argue maybe, like Warren Buffett says, you know, when the market's fearful, you should be greedy. Maybe this could signal the bottom. Maybe we go down over, you know, 50%. I don't know. 0.5 to 3% now. Japan will be 9%. How's that going to factor in? Pump and dump to get the liquidity needed to pay the debt? Maybe. 0.5 to 3%. Oh, do you mean as in, you mean interest rates to inflation? So you're saying inflation in Japan's going to be 9%? Is that true? OX12, so you need to send me a message on either on here or DM me or send an email to business@2bitcrypto.co.uk. What's your opinion on the Asta price? I mean, I sold my Asta back when it was back above $1, but yeah, I mean, look, I like the idea of perp decks. I just think there's some slightly better ones out there that they're moving. Does that mean that it can't have a massive monster rally? No. The problem you've got, and I'll just sort of give you my view on Asta a little bit, was I think it was a little bit cabal pushed. And people say, well, there isn't a cabal, but there is. Like you can if you look close enough, you can see the cabal. And I think then once you lose that cabal, like none of them care anymore. I mean, I saw a pretty interesting tweet today, and it was like, oh, you're selling your Asta. Tell my team we'll buy the $100 million you've got. And you're like, you don't have $100 million, bro. But hey, that's just my opinion. Can you teach something extraordinary about trading? I mean, I'm not a... By the way, for anyone who's new to the channel, I am absolutely not an expert. I am not a trader. I think for the last 4 years, though, what we've done here on the channel is try and educate ourselves, learn together. We actually, in the last bear market, put, I think, 13 people through a full trading course that that the channel paid for. So what I would say, if you're interested, is join our live streams. We go live 4 p.m. Eastern, 9 p.m. every single night. Also, jump into our Discord. We do actually have a Discord channel where there is 2 full trading guides talking all about technicals, indicators, what to look for. You can get access to that by becoming a channel member, which costs you like $5 or $6 a month. You also get a cool little green name and a little badge next to it. So if you're interested in that, what I would say is, if you've got any questions, thoughts, and opinions, by all means ask them. I'm not in a world where I'm like, refuse to speak to chat. I don't think that's a good place to be, but equally, I recommend just getting into our Discord. Be mindful, I will not DM you in the Discord. They are not good people. Federal cut rates in 26, but probably not until March or April. Maybe. I think, yeah, I think Fed Waller's speech, he was in a view of saying, look, we probably need to be cautious. And I think the debate will be who the next Fed chair is going to be. Kevin Hassett, probably going to be okay. Christopher Waller could be good news. Kevin Vorscht, I don't think we want him. If Japan hikes rates, will it be max 0.1? That is huge for the economy of Japan. No, it'll be 25 basis points, which will translate into like a couple of percent, I think. Does Monad have the potential to rebound? I think so. They need to get their ecosystem going, though. They do need to get their ecosystem. Atlantis, I wouldn't say I'm part of the team, but I'm sort of, aware of what that team's building, and that's a pretty exciting project. They just need to get stuff going, but yeah. Yeah, I mean, definitely at the minute, you're right on Russ. The expectation of the Fed is they will, I think, limp into 2026 because they don't want to get it wrong. And prediction markets right now have them at 75% unlikely to cut in Jan. March would still be Jerome Powell. Expectations that they would cut in March. April potentially would be the last Jerome Powell Fed, which would be a hold. And then you sort of getting into June, which I think this will start to move depending on who the next Fed chair is going to be. So we will see. We will see. Either way, it's going to be interesting. Let's get over the Bank of Japan rate decision that is probably going to be in the next 6 hours. That's going to be another one. So I think that's probably going to be a key thing to think about, and certainly will keep us on track, and probably then sets the scene and the tone for maybe what happens over the course of the next, over the course of probably the next week or so. Right, I've sold my XRP and I've bought my buy price down on a couple of other projects. I've also bought back into Sandbox. Craig, going in on Sandbox. Love it. Love it, Craig. Good. Right, everybody, that is that for me. We've been live nearly an hour and a half, actually. So, man, what a stream. Thank you so much, everybody, for tuning in. I think we absolutely crushed our all-time high view count of nearly 2,500 views on this stream. So, man, that is incredibly humbling. Thank you so much for tuning in. I appreciate you guys. Don't forget, join us back tomorrow. As always, we're here 4 p.m. Eastern, 9 p.m. UK time, bringing the latest. We'll see what that Bank of Japan decision is. I will obviously have some content coming out all about it over the course of the next 24 hours, as well as keeping you updated on what's going on from the macros. If you haven't jumped into our Discord, I highly recommend doing so. It'd be great to get some of your opinions. Some of you guys are really switched on, so it'd be fantastic to have you in the Discord as well. Would really appreciate it. Link is in the description. Also, link is on the bio as well. So definitely check that out and definitely get into the Discord. And as always, I'll be back tomorrow night. So thank you so much, everybody, for tuning in. And let's have a great day and see you tomorrow. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.